Hey ABC, this is Luke with Hot Wax and Cool Vinyl. Welcome back. Tuesday evening, 2nd of October, and I'm going to do tonight's video is a brief overview of the records that I recently purchased. About that many. Not tremendous, but interesting stuff. So we're going to start with this past weekend. I was out and I just happened to stumble upon a yard sale. Asked them, as I always do, hey, do you guys have records? And they were like, as a matter of fact, I do. They came out with 3 large crates of albums and a lot of great stuff, a lot of classic rock and stuff like that. So I just wound up buying it all. Throughout maybe 45% of the stuff, and the rest of the stuff, some I'm keeping and some I'm selling, but the ones that I'm keeping I'm going to show you now. So we're going to start with this first album, which is Joe Jackson, Look Sharp, and this is cool. I had never seen this before. This is a 10-inch gatefold. It came with a little button that said Look Sharp here, and that's missing. But it's a 2-record set. And it's, like I said, it's a 10-inch gatefold, which I had not seen before, so that was kind of cool. The records, vinyl's pretty good. It's a little scuffed, but not, it's all superficial scuffing. I mean, it just basically, it's blemishing more than so it doesn't really affect the play. So that was that record. Which was really interesting find. Now on to the next one. This one I'm going to give credit to Bradley at William Now. For those of you who don't know his channel, if you're a jazz newbie like I am and you want to learn, he's a great source. He shows a lot of different jazz albums, gives a really good explanation into a lot of the jazz musicians, past and present. One of them being Clifford Brown. So he had highlighted this musician, and I wound up and went and got myself a Study Moore and Brown. This is a 85 Japanese press reissue. Great cover, great album, really fantastic jazz trumpeter. Bradley, I'm just going to take 2 seconds and I'm going to borrow your words. Apparently, Clifford Brown was in the same vein as Miles Davis. They were about the same age and they were growing up together, and not together, but in the same era, and they were both considered the next greatest thing. Clifford Brown died tragically in an automobile accident on his way to a gig, according to Bradley. But listening to this, you can certainly see and feel the passion that he had for the music. So if you get a chance, buy it. I got very lucky. I think I paid like $12, including shipping, on eBay. So next up, one of my favorite soundtracks, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This one is a little different. This is the Australian cast. It does not feature Tim Curry at all. It's a completely different sound. Interesting. Not, I'm used to hearing Tim Curry, and I'm used to hearing, even on the original English cast that I have, Tim Curry still played the main character. So it was very interesting to hear someone other than Tim Curry singing the lines. That doesn't diminish the record. It's going to take me a couple of listens to get used to. Picked up some nice swing, Doc Severinsen and Friends. This is really cool. Look how young he was in this particular album. I'm not a huge swing guy. I appreciate it. I like it. But it's just, I'm just not one of my favorites. But Doc Severinsen, I obviously me and a lot of people my age in their early 50s, mid 50s, we only knew Doc Severinsen from The Tonight Show. Turns out the guy was a really great musician long before The Tonight Show. So if you get a chance to grab some of his stuff, grab it. Along that same vein, picked up this nice little Benny Goodman, the Benny Goodman story. It's still in shrink with some breathe holes, so it's not going to crush the record. Really interesting and fun listen. Capitol Blue Label. The record's in good shape. Really nice. Nice luster, nice shine. Plays well. You know. Benny Goodman, as I discussed once before, in my mind is a very underrated jazz musician. Mostly because he was just, I guess it was the pop type music of the period. No. Back to this weekend. Along with that other purchase, another one that I'm keeping because it's awesome. Ziggy Stardust, the motion picture. The David Bowie Gatefold 2-album set. Great record, good shape, nicely done. I love new wave, but I don't have a lot of new wave records. I guess maybe I just played so many of them in the 80s that I just kind of like, I still listen to them. I mean, I have the Flock of Seagulls and I have Scandal. I have most of them, but I just don't play them as much. But the exception is Modern English. And yeah, it's I Melt With You. This album also was this weekend's purchase. This is on Sire Records. Really nice, very well laid out record. Plays very, very well. And if you are a new wave fan, Tim, I'm looking at you at DJ High Noon because we're close in age and I know how much you dig new wave as well. Modern English, After the Snow, fantastic record. Other record that I picked up this weekend, all of these past few have been from this weekend. Grateful Dead, the best of, 2-record set. You know, for a guy who's not a big Deadhead, I sure do have a lot of Dead albums. I guess most of it's because I don't think you can have a true collection or a comprehensive collection if you omit some of the larger band names. And you know, when I say I'm not a big Deadhead, it means I don't drive hundreds of miles to go see them in concert, and I don't, you know, but I do appreciate their music. So I got that this weekend. I was kind of pleased. Concluding, I've shown this band before, and probably a great many of you probably never heard of them. They were a local band for a great many years. It's the Good Rats. They had moderate success, especially in New York. Some radio success. Picked this up again this weekend at the same yard sale, and great cover, and the record's in really, really interesting shape, and it's a promo. Okay, and it was also one of the Good Rats records that I didn't have. But what I was really shocked, pleased, and very, very pleased to see, signed by every member of the Good Rats, the Marcello brothers, and on, and there's the promo sticker. So I was like really psyched. It's not really worth anything other than the fact that it's one of my bands that I remember from my days going to bars. They were, I mean, I would guess it was the same across all of the United States, but here on Long Island in particular, the late 70s, mid 70s to the mid to early 80s, say 83, 84, we had a tremendous band scene, club scene, band scene. For a small tract of land, we did have some really outstanding musicians, and the Good Rats were one of them. Rock and roll band, you know, a little bit of undertones, some blues, but you know, just a straight rock band of the era. And they were just, you know, phenomenal little band. And if you get a chance to see any of their albums, I've not heard Great American Music yet, but this was also part of this weekend's purchases, although I haven't. Tasty is one of their albums that if you're gonna grab it, go ahead and get it. It's just, you know, it's probably one of their better albums as far as musically. They really kind of went and experimented with some different sounds as opposed to just, you know, a straight thumping rock sound that we're also used to. So that's it on the records. A special thank you again to Bradley over at William Now. Again, he's just, you know, there's a lot of jazz guys out there, but he is very easy to follow, and he gives not only the description of the music, but of the artist, and he hasn't steered me wrong yet. Every one of the albums that he's shown or suggested that I've wound up purchasing has all been spot on, exactly like you said. So if you get a chance and you just really want to expand your music acumen and go delve into jazz, if you're like me and you really were just slowly, you know, putting your big toe into the jazz water, as it were, he's a great resource. And then finally, just thank you to everyone who's subscribed to my channel. I think I'm up to like 150 people now, so thank you all. It's a lot of fun doing these for you, and I do hope that you take from me what I take from the vinyl community, which is I like showing the records I bought, don't get me wrong, but it's less vanity driven and more of hey, I got this and I think you should get it too if you don't already have it. So I was kind of like that's the mindset, because a lot of times that's why I watch the videos. I get enjoyment and I get an education on certain bands that I don't know much about, and it really does help me when I go create my want list or I'm looking on eBay. You know, I get those moments where you're like, you know, it's like 10 o'clock at night and there's nothing on TV and you're just kind of like thumbing through eBay mindlessly, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I remember Tim mentioned this, or Bradley mentioned this, or, you know, Roger from Jolly Roger mentioned this album. Oh, you know what, it's cheap enough, let me give it a grab it and buy it. So it's kind of hoping what I can impart with in my little videos showing music on my end, especially the Good Rats. Seriously. Aside from the fact that they're a local bunch of guys, they have such a cool name for their band. All right, so that's it. Cheers, everyone. Have a super week. I'll try to get another video in a little later on in the week. There's a thread that a couple of folks have started that I kind of wanted to jump in on, and so again, have a great week, everyone. Have a super night. Have a great dinner if you haven't had it yet. Cheers all. I'll see you soon.